afternoon. It's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Ways and Means Committee. Can you please take the roll?
Eric?
Here.
Lutz?
Here.
Krieger?
Yes.
Vic?
Here.
Kuhn?
Here.
Ryder?
Here.
Durancer?
Here.
Morrison?
Thank you. Next up will be minutes of 8/6/19.
So moved.
Support. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda would be public input. Anyone from our esteemed audience that would like to step forward and speak before the board, now would be a great time to do it. No one. I can't believe it. Such a great day for this, too. So we'll move on to petitions and communications from the probate court. 2019-2020 CASA contract. That is number 1 on the agenda.
I'll move it.
I'll support it. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2019-2020 Child Care Fund Annual Plan and Budget.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. Yes,
Matt has been working on this for quite a while, and I see there is some upfront funding now that the state is going to do instead of us funding it right away, so hopefully that'll be the start of some better cooperation with the state and some of the funding for the child care fund. It's been pretty expensive for us.
I know. It never seems to go up, does it? It just seems like we try to hold our own. Yeah, I know. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Sheriff's Department, the agreement with Michigan State Police.
So moved.
Support. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Treasurer, the annual report of balance and land sale proceeds account. Motion to receive is in order.
So moved.
Support. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. In the annual review of delinquent tax revolving fund, recommendations for transfer from the DTRF to the general fund in 2020.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Personnel Director, the renewal of the Medicare Advantage Plan.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Perfect. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we have tuition reimbursements to receive from 3 different employees.
So moved.
Discussion. Yeah, Commissioner?
Yep. I don't have a problem with reimbursement as much as I do with the funds are all used up. You know, now we're going to have a budget adjustment. You know, if we're going to set a budget and we're going to just ignore the budget and appropriate more funds to it, I don't get that. That's why we did this the last time. And I just think that, you know, what I'd like to see is maybe revisiting that, and however we look at it in the budget this time, we just can't have a budget adjustment like this every time we exceed it. There's no reason for that. I oppose that. I oppose this motion.
Is he looking more to have it just a set amount and just stay with it, or?
Exactly. You know, that's why we set that amount. And now we set the amount, and now there's no money left there, so we're just going to have a budget adjustment. It just doesn't seem logical to do those things.
Commissioner Krieger, do you have something?
I'm on the same page as Mr. Ryder. My concern.
Commissioner Lutz?
Yeah, in talking with Tiffany, the average over the past 4 years has been about $15,000 a year. And we've had some discussions, and I was gonna have some before our next meeting, but I guess we're in the middle of that discussion right now, that we should probably set a maximum in our budget, and that'll be it, you know. And, you know, I agree that, you know, this could be an unending amount dollars, you know. And I know Tiffany's also working on some other language changes, current contract, but, I'm not totally in favor of all this either, just to throw that out. I'd rather see a fixed number and that's it. So,
Commissioner Coonan.
Two of them are contractual, and I don't know exactly what the contract states or how we've done it in the past, if we've created a past practice. The other one, you could kill it right now if you wanted to. I don't say you do it, but two of them are contractual, so every month we debate about this. Does anybody know what the contract states or what we have done in the past? If we have to set a new practice, then we do the practice. But until then, the contractual ones, I don't think you have any choice whatsoever other than to pay it, unless, Tiffany, you've got a better idea.
Well, we've discussed this topic a number of times at this point, and each contract has different contract language. However, all of them, I believe with the exception of the nurses, have language that indicates that due to budgetary constraints, any of them can be declined. The county has not had a practice of declining them, even when they're over budget. So in the past, we had discussed if we're going to do that, so be it, but we need to send a letter to the employees so that they can properly prepare for that for the following year. The nurses contract allows for a $4,000 a year tuition reimbursement, so that one would have to be paid regardless based on the contract.
So we haven't hit 4,000
In that contract, no.
yet. Well, if you wanted to start a new practice and say, hey, and once it exceeds it, we're not going to pay it, then you do that right now, you let them know. You don't just come to the board and then we deny it. You need to let them know in advance that we may have covered it in the past, but due to contractual or monetary constraints, we're not going to do it anymore. And the other one, if you wanted to, you could kill it right now. It's non-union. But I think we need to be kind of consistent across the board with all of them, regardless if they're union or non-union, say, hey, from this point forward, we're not going to do it. That needs to come from you guys, I think, before it comes to the board.
Mr.
Yeah,
Barsha.
Tiffany, could you give us a little overview of where we're at with the amount that traditionally has been paid out by the board? And
Yeah.
Sounds like we're maybe having more utilization, or maybe the tuitions are increasing, so.
Both of those things. We are having increased utilization. The tuition is increasing, and I will mention that the county has exceeded the budget for the last decade. They just never requested a budget adjustment from the board when that happened. So really this is being highlighted because we're informing you that we need a budget adjustment rather than just spending the money.
Commissioner Ryder.
You know, I'm not in favor of just dropping A and taking care of B and C. You know, I think that we do, whether they're union or non-union, I don't want to discriminate because of that. But I do think that we need to have a point where we can't do any more. We can do up to this much and then it ends. And so I would support this if we can look at this budget and within that budget, address that issue so that we don't go through this again.
Commissioner Durancheck.
I can see both sides of it, but I agree with Commissioner Coonan that you can't just pull the rug out right now. I don't feel that it doesn't matter if you're union or not union. They need to be notified that this is the policy going forward, starting next year's budget, whatever it might be. So I'm going to support it, this resolution on that basis.
But going forward in the 2020 budget, we need to set a figure that's going to be our figure. And so that's something we need to do. I don't know if it's gonna be, next month, have some other discussion about this. But if we're gonna set a maximum, we need to set the maximum and say, hey, that's it, and then notify the unions in 2020, this is it. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're gonna kind of curtail this right now because the motion is just to receive this. So we're not really making any adjustments or doing anything. We can, I think Tiffany heard what we had to say, so everybody had to say so far, and she can work from there. But our motion on the floor is just to receive this right now. Yes,
Correct.
Mr. Lutz.
There is going to be eventually a budget adjustment because we're $5,750.75 in the hole.
I understand that.
In this line item. So just,
Yeah, I know, I got that part, but where we're at now is just to receive it. So the motion was just to receive. We had a motion, we had a second. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the Director of Administrative Services, Veterans Affairs, the GoFundMe fundraising for the Animal Services and Adoption Center up to 3 times next year. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh,
Mr. Chair.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you,
I
Mr.
go
Chair.
pretty fast sometimes.
No, I
Gotta slow
appreciate it.
down.
Just a point of clarification. We're gonna use like a GoFundMe type opportunity, depending on fees and how much the best benefit for us as a facility. That's the, I guess the instrument that we will use to raise the money. It's to get the point across. It was GoFundMe, but a GoFundMe type fundraising.
There are rules that go with that, IRS rules, and there are fees attached to that, so we will have to look into that. Also keeping the donations separate, they request that you have to prove to them what you use those funds for if you use a GoFundMe account, so I think there needs to be further discussion on that as to how we go further in trying to use or accept donations.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? Commissioner Begin.
How about the Humane Society? Could the Humane Society run the GoFundMe or whatever we do, that thing, is it a nonprofit? Is it us doing it?
Amber, you're shaking your head, so you must have something to say.
If the Humane Society runs any type of crowdfunding type fundraising event, and then they're going to be in the position of donating that money to us. Either way, we're going to have to accept the donation. I think the purpose of the crowdfunding that's listed here is that if we have specific needs at the center, whether it be for dog food, specific type of leads, specific types of harnesses for animals, because for instance they just started a new dog walking program with volunteers, then that money would be directed specifically toward that fundraising goal. People tend to give money a little bit more freely if they're giving to a very specific designated fund or product.
Thank you.
Nobody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is agreement with the Saginaw Correction Facility.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Health Officer, this is for a Medical Director.
So moved.
Support. Discussion. Commissioner Begin.
I had a little discussion ahead of time. I know Dr. Howard Hurd has been there for many years, and so we discussed it a little bit. And
Obviously, we're going to hear from our
I don't know.
Our head man.
I can't go into a lot of detail why you picked one over the other, or
Well, it was the whole RFQ process was based on qualifications. So starting with medical director, which is what Dr. Hurd is currently the medical examiner, not the medical director. So the medical director at a base level has to be either a doctor of medicine or a doctor of osteopathy, and then either have a master's in public health or be board certified in preventive medicine. And while Dr. Bender is a medical doctor, he also has a doctorate in public health. He's worked with the Centers for Disease Control. He's worked for about a decade with Dow Chemical. And he has extensive experience in public health and epidemiology. And to use a baseball analogy, he is a 5-tool player. And when you come across a 5-tool player, you got to draft him and get him on your team. So.
Thank you, Joel. Anyone else?
Good thing he's not the Tigers, Jim.
Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Part 2 is the medical examiner. You want to talk about that right away, too? We'll get the motion first. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So using the same requirements for qualifications, we looked through a number of things. It wasn't my own decision. It was the team's decision as well that was on the RFQ committee. We looked at a number of candidates. We had, I believe, 3 candidates that had applied for that, 2 individuals and an organization. And it was the group's consensus that Dr. Maroney really met those qualifications more than Dr. Hurt did. That's not to say that we're discounting Dr. Hurt's service, but when it came down to the full decision of the group, it was in favor of Dr. Maroney. And so we have to follow the purchasing rules, and part of that says that we go with the group consensus there.
Commissioner Begic?
Dr. Maroney, I've heard him speak a few times about treatment, drug overdose, and opioid treatment. Well qualified in the field there. Quite a bit of that also.
Yes.
Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. From the Director of Environmental Affairs and Community Development, the grant award from Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative Network on behalf of Fraser Township for the Linwood Scenic Access Point improvements.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we need, when we want the acknowledgement and recognition of Bay County support of Lake Sturgeon recovery in Saginaw. Motion to receive would be in order.
Motion received.
Support. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Mosquito Control Manager, the 2-year rollover of the aerial contract.
So,
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Equalization Director, L 4029-2019 tax rate request.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the State Department of Health and Human Services, DFA 20-09003 agreement and 2017-2018 statistics.
So moved.
support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Director of the Department on Aging, a memorandum of understanding with Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have Payables, General, and BAYANET.
So moved.
Support. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From the Finance Officer, the analysis of the general fund equity. Motion to receive is in order.
So moved.
Support. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The Executive Directive number 2007-11. Motion to receive is in order. So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. An overview of the Bay County fiscal year 2020 executive recommended budget. Motion to receive is in order.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. From Purchasing, waste removal bid award.
So moved.
Support. Commissioner Ryder.
I guess I have a question about the way we send bids out. So I noticed that there was only one bid on this particular service, Republic. who knew that the contract was ending, because it's kind of like a renewal. Yet we have the City of Bay City, we have Billy's, we have Waste Management that didn't respond. And
Wait.
so I'm wondering how we advertise, and if there is a way for us to communicate in whatever fashion to other local potential bidders on these given projects. Is there a way to do that?
We
or-
advertise on our Facebook page, on our website, through MLive, both online and print. We did receive inquiries from Waste Management, and Billy's was notified of the bid. If I receive names of people who are specifically interested in the bid, I send that out to them. But, I mean, we
they don't
blanket,
respond,
if they don't respond. And we do also put it out on a national website called Mitten, that we put it out there, and it goes throughout the country and international as well. So we blanket it pretty well, I think, but if someone has a name of, John Doe has a service, get me John's name and I'll send it to him, because we've done that on a few bids.
I guess maybe a heads up, Francis, to a potential contract out there that maybe we could bring forth some names. I just get kind of skeptical whenever I see a one bid, a proposal that goes out and we have one bid. It's no favors to us, certainly, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I would like to see more than one bidder, and if we're able to, find someone in the region or whatever that, that's out there that doesn't monitor daily, those kind of things, I would like to have that.
The big three were notified. The City of Bay City, I'd heard that there was interest, but was not given a name to send it to them.
Okay.
And from what I understand, they don't have the big dumpsters that we require. If I'm wrong in that, I apologize, my information was inaccurate then. But the big three that were in the region were notified. I did have conversations with Waste Management, they just chose not to bid. And Billy's was notified and chose not to bid as well. All three of them did bid on the last contract when we went with Republic Waste, and there's only been the three that we've responded in the numerous times that I've bid this service out. So if there's more out there, let me know. I mean, yes, I love having a big group of people submitting.
Okay. So if we could kind of get a heads up at
Sure.
some point, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay,
I
thank
can
you.
submit a list of what's going out to bid at any given time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. I think that's all. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the ISD IT Services and Support for the Essexville Public Safety. So moved. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Look at that. Any referrals? No referrals. Unfinished business. New business. How about a closed session? No closed session. Perfect. Miscellaneous. No miscellaneous? Somebody must have an announcement. A month without announcements, I can't believe. Oh, Commissioner Durancheck, thank you.
You bet, I can always come up with something. Saturday, we're gonna present the resolution to Gross International Airport, as we all dare call it, for 50 years in existence. So Saturday at 11:30. Mr. Marsh and myself will be making a presentation, so we'll get a public.
Thank you, sir. So where's that located at again? If somebody wants to go?
Mackinac, Pin County Road.
Okay, there you go. Mackinac, Pin County Road. Thank you. Any other announcements?
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.